You're listening to nacchat with Amy Mahaffey, straight from the city of Nacogdoches, where we chat all things Nac. We make any topic fun, and I'll take you behind the scenes of the oldest town in Texas. Hi, Steve. Welcome to episode 20 of nacchat.
Hey,
20.
Amy.
That's a nice round number.
It is a good number.
You're an engineer. You're a weird science boy. You know, or math boy. You like round numbers?
We like numbers with decimal points.
Oh, so 20.00.
There you go.
Okay,
there you
cool.
go.
So today we're talking about city streets because we posted a pretty cool video, or I thought it was a pretty cool video on Facebook. It got a lot of love, but we got some really great questions and feedback from citizens, and so we realized very quickly that we needed to do a little more in-depth conversation for folks who were super interested in knowing about how the streets are maintained and
sure,
all kinds of dorky stuff that you like and to think about every day, right? So here's the deal. Typically with our podcast, I know you listen to them right when they come out every time. Yes, he's nodding his head.
And multiple times.
Sure,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
on repeat. We do, our little lesson about whatever the city topic is, and then Larissa comes in and we do a rumor mill. But this whole podcast is a rumor mill, and so I'm going to teach you how we do it because we're squashing some rumors through the education in this podcast. So the whole thing is a rumor mill. So you have to do what Larissa and I do, and we're like girls, so you're going to have to like channel. I know you grew up in a house full of girls. You raised girls.
I raised girls,
so you know. Okay, so what happens is I say, do you know what time it is? And she says, it's time for the rumor mill. And then you have to go, yay! Okay?
Okay.
So, Steve, what time is it?
It's time for the rumor mill.
Yay!
Yay!
See? That seemed really natural.
It did a little girlish, but yeah, I'm good. I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
You had your hands kind of up, and that was
kind of my effeminate side coming out.
It was forced, but that's okay. I appreciate you playing along because we got to keep it consistent.
I'm flipping
it's
my
important.
hair now. So.
And we have a sound effect we add that these little kids go, yay! It's really cute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's super cute.
In the background. Right?
Yeah. So let's jump into this little topic of city streets. You love streets.
Streets are my life.
Yeah. That's good.
No, streets are my life. Yeah, we've got 144 miles of streets, Amy. I mean, it's a lot to maintain. A lot more than we can look at every day, a lot more than we can know where all the problems are. And so, we absolutely rely on citizens and people, sometimes visitors, telling us when we have problems, as well as our own crews trying to do it. So streets are hard to maintain, not from construction, just to find out where the problems are.
Yeah.
So,
because you only drive on your streets.
That's right.
Where your normal goes.
And all of us have probably a very limited path we drive every day. We go to Walmart, we go to work, we go to the whatever, eat Mexican food, and so we don't drive on all the streets. So you have to tell me, when you have a problem on your street. What we actually do is every couple of years we drive every street.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we can be street department personnel guys who maintain it. It can be our public works director. It can be engineering department. We share that task. And we inventory every street. And by that I mean we look at the streets. We look at cracking. We look at failures. We take some dimensions sometimes. But we keep a massive computer file on every street. And then we try to grade them. We used to rank them, so we know the worst street in town was, but it got pretty hard because there's just lots of twins out there. And so lots of streets that were of equal condition. So what we do is we grade them, and we kind of simplified this over the year, but I mean A through F, just like school. So we have some F streets, and sometimes we have some F streets. And we have D streets and C streets and B streets. And so we try to gather those streets up so that we're spending the little bit of tax dollars that we get in the budget on the F streets first.
Okay.
Because it makes sense. So does that mean we won't have crummy streets that are D streets next door? No, it means they're still there. But we're gonna handle the worst ones first.
I see. And we'll kind of get into it in a second, but your department is definitely, because of the limited budget, and we've remedied that, so we'll get to that part, but because for years you've had a tiny little piece of the pie to fix streets, you've been in, I guess, putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, if you will, that mode of, okay, this is the worst, let's go fix it before we have a huge problem.
Exactly. We've been reactive, not proactive.
And that's not how you want to be?
Can be, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, A lot of it, we use the term deferred maintenance, and what that really means is we're putting this street off until next year. It'd be a little bit worse, so you call me about a bad street, it's bad, I'm out of money, we put it off. But it's really deferred maintenance, and so that grows. It's not linear.
I see.
So 5 years from now, it may cost 3 times as much to fix that street as it does today.
That makes sense.
So it's kind of tough for us when you work with the limited budgets that we have.
Now, when we talk about our streets, it's 144 miles?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, that's just our streets. See, we have more miles than that in town. A bunch of the miles of streets in town are not our streets, and it's confusing to citizens. But they belong to TxDOT or the state. So, it wouldn't surprise you if I told you the Loop is a state highway. Well, everybody knows that, or 21 or Highway 7.
Sure.
But even all the way through town, those streets are maintained by TxDOT, not by us. So when you call me about a pothole on Highway 7, I turn around and call TxDOT. We don't usually go fix it.
Right.
Because
we can't. They don't own the road.
And it's not ours to fix, and there's prohibitions against us working on theirs without their permission.
I see.
But you wouldn't expect streets like Powers Street or Durst or Shawnee or Rayburn or Woden. Those are all TxDOT roads too, and they look like city streets.
Sure.
And you think that. So
we should make them in different colors. I wish I could.
Yeah, boy, you got me on
photograph
that one,
your face. Right.
Like pink for city. I could. Yeah.
I don't know. That's just
well, and you've seen this in some places. City maintenance ends here, county maintenance ends here. When you go to private streets to let the public know. But sometimes I wish we could say this is not our street. But here's the truth: we don't care if you call and tell us that there's a problem on North Street or
of course.
the Loop. We want you to do that because it's our job to try to get that to the right person.
Right.
So you do not bother us when you call.
And it's not us saying, "Oh, we don't want to help you. We don't. That's not our street. We just aren't allowed."
We will let you know that. And here's why: because the next day it may not be fixed. If it was a city street, we might be able to react, and it's my responsibility to react. But if it's a TxDOT street, I can't really be responsible for when they fix it. And by the way, they're very good about trying to respond. But you think we have a lot of streets, look at what they have in their district of 7 counties or whatever.
Sure. So. Okay, so we had an interesting comment on the Facebook. I sound like an old lady. Facebook that those kids are using. This guy who is very informed and engaged in what we were showing in the streets video, and that video was really just my chance to get Cowboy Doug in a video, because
it was a good video.
He doesn't like to be in videos, and he's my buddy, and I like to give him a hard time. No,
he's shy.
He is shy. But I have to laugh. But we were part of this video campaign is to show that we are people that have kids and families, and we go to work and we go to church and we go to the grocery store just like everybody else, and to kind of peel back the big government curtain, if you will, to say, hey, we're just like you. Which is true. And so, but that led to these really awesome questions. And one of the things that kind of leads into this TxDOT versus city streets is the gentleman posted about Pearl Street. And you went and looked at it the next day. And there's some streets that are belonging to the city, but there's still right-of-way issues. And that was something I hadn't thought about. So can you kind of explain that type of situation?
Yeah, sometimes a comment, and then you had a comment about Durst, I think, in particular as well, and Durst is all theirs, so we just literally pass that along and try to apologize to the citizen. The comment about Pearl was the intersection, I think, of Pearl and Main, right there at the police department, and right at that where you stop. It's kind of gotten a little rough and potholed and been fixed and whatever. That little place where you stop is still TxDOT. So for the whole width of their right-of-way, not just their street, but the ground on each side of the street, where it crosses our streets, is their piece. So I know that sounds really silly and petty.
Right.
And do we ever fix those? Sometimes we do, because we hold hands and cooperate together. But generally, that torn up area right outside Main Street is still a TxDOT repair.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And what we will generally do, especially to a response of a complaint like that, is we'll send our patch crew out and try to patch the hole that's been making you spill your coffee when you go to work every morning, and make it a safer street. But we probably won't spend $8,000 to rip that area up and repave it this summer. We'll let TxDOT know they need to address that. So,
Okay.
So we'll try to make things. Our first goal is to make things safe. That's number one duty. So we'll try to make sure the street's not so bad it's unsafe, and then we'll try to get the right people. Well, why do we care? Because they have a budget and we have a budget, and they need to use their budget to fix their facilities.
So when can you fix streets? Because you just kind of said this summer, and that reminded me.
It's a good point. Today it was 32 this morning outside. The asphalt plant is not open. Now they sell rock and other things over there. In fact, I got in trouble one day for saying that they are closed during the winter. They're not. They just don't make asphalt. Because asphalt has to be put down when it's very hot. Asphalt is hot when it comes out of the plant, well over 200 degrees, and we lay it that hot so that it conforms, and then when it cools it hardens, and so we can't do that on cold roads, and so we generally quit paving sometime before Thanksgiving, and we don't start paving again until March. So
the asphalt plant is local.
The asphalt plant is local,
and they
stop
don't even make it.
They don't even make it.
They know people aren't going to buy it.
If we have a week of warm weather in December, they'll probably which we had. They'll fire up because realize we're not the only people buying asphalt there.
Sure.
The highway department buys asphalt there.
Okay.
So everybody's waiting in line. The county, the city, everybody. And when they decide it's warm enough to fire up, then we will all wait in line and we'll go work on a little piece. Something we need asphalt.
You did it on South Street a couple weeks ago.
We did. We just did some patching there,
and
everybody says, "Why did it take you so long to patch?" Because we were waiting on the asphalt plant
to
make asphalt to get warm enough where we could place it.
You people, you engineer people, you have a lot of rules.
It's a bunch of physics things that mess us up.
Science always gets in the way.
We have I'd just add to that. So you say, you know what? It was freezing the other day, and I saw them patching potholes.
Okay.
We have a special material. We have to drive all the way to Lufkin to a plant in Lufkin.
All the way to Lufkin. My goodness, that's
it takes
journey.
30 minutes or something out of our day. And we buy a special called Super Patch, and we can lay it in water. We can lay it in cold weather. It's a special material that's made for just winter work, and we go buy it in that Lufkin plant and bring it up here. So we're able to still kind of keep up with potholes. But I talked to apartment complex yesterday who needed some repair work in front of their apartment driveway. And all we can do is patch their potholes. We can't tear it all out yet. And I told her it's going to be April or May before we get there. And now she understands. So, we're hoping a lot of citizens realize our roads are going to look worse in the winter just because we can't physically address them. So
cool. No, it's not an Amy podcast unless a phone rings. So you've made it real now. Thank you. That's the thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
really?
That phone will go off in any minute.
Sweet.
And even though I send it, it rings for half a second. So that's like the badge of honor for the podcast recording. So you're good.
No, it's just a city attorney. I told him.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
get to him when I get to him.
Ignore him.
We
all know that I come first.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's what you were told to say. So we have gravel streets. We have concrete streets. We have brick streets. Break all that
we do.
down for me.
The majority of our miles are probably asphalt streets, and that's what everybody sees in front of their house. But as you said, we have some that are still gravel, and we are actually working little by little to turn those into paved streets. We don't want to have unpaved streets.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, over the last 25 or so years, there's been a lot of paving of those streets.
Okay.
Just as an interesting side note, those gravel streets, our charter, which is the city's founding rules, our charter defines that if we pave gravel streets, we're supposed to charge each owner a pro rata share based on the frontage of their property on the street.
Wow, really?
Because in the old days, everything was gravel, and if you paved a street, your value went up.
Yeah.
Your value went up.
Yeah.
And so therefore, you had to pay for it. Now we don't. And there were street liens. We don't enact all that stuff anymore, and so we just try to pave gravel streets, and we don't knock on your door and say you owe us $482. But
wow.
But it's interesting because that's the way our charter was written. Is you paid if we paved your street, you were in the high end. So,
that makes sense. So the cost of a street is important because we talk a lot about budget. You've kind of gleaned at that a little bit. So we just redid college, I guess last year.
Last year.
Little A little bit of college. How much of college did they redo?
It was less than 2,000 feet.
Okay, so 2,000 feet of college. How much did that cost us out of our general
that
fund
little
budget?
piece, and you can see down it. That's how short it is.
Yeah.
You can see down it was $185,000 in round numbers. And why is that significant? Because our entire budget was $250,000. So one street, that one piece of street, and granted it was a 4-lane street, so it was a big job.
Big job, yeah.
Even though it was short, but that one street, ate up virtually all my budget in one street.
So is that budget including fixing potholes, fixing problems? If we have to rip a utility out somewhere, we have a problem, we have to go back in and fix it.
Our public works group, and then their streets guys, have a $250,000 annual budget also to go fix and maintain streets. Okay. And then I have a $250,000 budget. We call it a capital projects budget.
Okay.
So we can go hire a contractor to fix streets, which is what we did with East College. And so we actually have $500,000 in aggregate.
Got it.
Part of that our guys are using when you see them out there, city crews out there, and part of it might be a local contractor helping us repave a big street. And East College was an example of a street that was outside what we could do with our equipment, and we hired a contractor.
And why did we decide to do East College?
Because SFA had yelled at me for many years. East College, and even I haven't been here long enough to know it, but in the old days it was a 2-lane road, widened to a 4-lane road. It's part concrete, it was part asphalt, and it was just cracking up terribly, Plus it's a gateway to the university, and we recognize that. It's an important, and it's a 4-lane road, it carries a lot of traffic. So
it does.
It had been on I'll call it the waiting list for paving for about 8 years.
So this whole thing where you go through and you grade your streets, then we have a map, and I'll post it with the podcast, that shows kind of hot spots. And just like we do with a crime map of these are the worst parts, these are the better parts. Is that how you make decisions about where you fix?
It's part of the way we make decisions, and it's a real new technology for us. Our pothole crew, which is a separate crew from the street paving crew, pothole crew has an iPad. And every time they fix a pothole, which is all day long, they log it in that iPad, and it gets their GPS location.
Okay.
So that data is sent back here to the mothership, and we track it in the big computer. And then we look at, Regay Street had 52 potholes repaired in this area. We geographically look at them and then make these hot spots. And so when we're looking at street grades and streets to do this year, we look at that map, and all the stuff that's showing up as hot red, is stuff that we need to do. So
it's not these are bad right now today.
No,
it's
that
we keep repairing these spots. We need to do.
Therefore, we need to
project.
go probably do a whole rehab or reconstruction of that street.
I see.
So it helps us prioritize those streets. Whereas before, it was too much data to just try to do, on a yellow pad of paper.
Yeah.
So this has helped us tremendously by being able to emphasize where those really bad areas were. And by the way, now I have a good evidence to take to council and our city manager and say I need money to spend here.
Right.
Because each of you want the street in front of your house or your business paved. It's the worst street in the world, the one in front of your house.
Well,
It is.
And that's true.
And it's true. And so we now at least have some science behind why I'm next door and not at your house.
Not your buddy.
And we don't do just one, but right.
You only
but this
fix your
street's
friend's
worse.
roads.
Let me show you. So we have some evidences of
I
it.
see.
With limited budgets, you got to be strategic about where you spend it. So
Now, you should be getting a little more.
We are. Council recently passed a street maintenance fee, which is an adder to your water bill. And it is a fee, not a tax, but it's still something you pay. So everybody with a water bill, see and realize that includes people who own property and don't own property. So a renter gets a water bill, for example, so they'll be contributing towards this now. And that was one of the theories is, taxes that pay for street maintenance in the past are property owners. And now everybody who gets a water bill, including tenants, will help pay for streets. But it's about it's $5 for residents.
That makes sense. Okay.
Because we all put wear and tear on the street.
Right.
So now there'd be, for residents, it'd be $5 a month.
Okay.
Some people liked that, some people didn't, but I will tell you, probably overwhelmingly, most folks said if you will keep that money in street repairs, we're okay with it. So we got pretty good feedback on that.
So yeah, because part of the philosophy when we were generating this concept, which has been in the works, we've been working on researching this for a long time.
A couple of years, yeah.
Is if you people like to know where their money's going.
Yep.
And so I guess, yes, if you wanted to know where your tax dollars were going, we have a budget, we have superior financial statements. You can look and see.
It's very transparent.
But it's also, it goes into the general fund, and we divvy it up through the budget process, which citizens have input in. But this is very cut and dry. There's $5 every month fixing my streets.
And it goes in a separate account.
It goes in a separate account earmarked just for that.
Just
and so people do like that.
Yeah.
And the feedback I've gotten, I mean, we hear it on social media all the time, is we get it. You know, we want the streets to be better. Mm-hmm. We get it, you know. And so I think when people understand, when you go to the grocery store and you pay $5 and you get a carton of milk, you get it. You know, this is an exchange. Right. And so this is kind of that same thing. And so, of course, some people don't like that, and we get those arguments. But one of the things I did see on social media when we announced the street use fee was somebody said, we'll just pull up all the bricks because we don't need the bricks. And I was like, well, it was kind of a misconception of we're only using this to fix the downtown streets that are brick, and that's certainly not the case, as people have just learned as they've listened. And so we get this street use fee implemented, it's in effect. When do you start seeing the benefits of this? Because it feels like we've got to build up a little bit to have money to do a project.
Well, it does, and the first fees coming out. So I mean, next week I'll have, you know, whatever, a few $1,000s in there, which won't pay for anything.
Yeah.
So we've got to accrue it. We're trying to work out right now how long we're going to accrue funds before we, I guess, start contracting out work with it.
Got it.
And I'm not sure I have all the answers to that yet, but we will be doing work ongoing, you know, this year. But it's going to take probably a year to accrue enough money in that account to have a large enough sum of money to do a biddable contract.
But the good thing is you have all of the mechanisms in place we just went through to help you make quick decisions about where we need to fix.
And Amy, we're going to do about, I don't know, $600,000-$700,000 worth of paving work outside that fee this year. So we will be out paving immediately. Sure. Yeah.
So we're going to see.
You're going to see paving activity everywhere. One thing we're going to do this year is we'll be on a lot of the residential streets, and we'll be doing some crack sealing, which looks like the little black worms in all the cracks. It's kind of ugly. And then we'll follow behind that with a seal coat, which is where they spray a hot tar and then a rock coating, and it really, really, really gives that street a longer life when we do that. But what you get is, in this is primarily in residential areas that we'll do this. What you get is a prettier new street.
Sure.
You know, when you do it, and so I think it's going to improve the looks. It'll improve the right. We'll patch any potholes then. We'll fill in any dips then.
Got it.
We'll seal the cracks, and literally we are probably buying another 15 years
on the street.
On that street when we do that. So those dollars go a long ways, though. That's not nearly as expensive as tearing the street out and putting a whole new street in.
Right. Okay.
So we'll be able to get a lot of time, you know, and spend our money. But this year we're going to focus most of our funds at doing that.
Okay.
So we'll be able to touch a lot of streets as opposed to what we just talked about on East College, excuse me. Where
Star's on our street, Steve.
I know, it's one
we
of the
just went through this.
They tried to get us to take Star, but
I know.
So, you know, just like East College, we won't lose all of our money on one or two or three streets.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's
I mean, I hope I'm going to touch 50 or 60 streets. That's our goal.
Cool. Okay. Well, we'll do a good job. Now that we've had this conversation about updating people on when these projects are happening. I'm finally making friends with the streets guys to snap me some pictures when they're out doing it. So we'll keep pushing that information out because people love to see it. And like you said, I don't drive on every street every single day, nor does anybody else.
All right.
And so it'll be cool to see kind of this activity taking place.
And especially this year, we're going to hope social media helps us a bunch. But when we work in residential areas, people are always parked in front of their house. They've got, you know, their boats out there, whatever. And so we need a lot of help when we do residential streets at notifying you to get your stuff off the street for a couple of days while we work. So, we're going to look at everybody to help us.
Great.
That, so.
Are you excited?
I am always excited. As an engineer anytime I get new money to do stuff with, we always get excited. So
it's more exciting than talking about sewers.
No, sewers are exciting too. We'll do a podcast on sewers.
Okay.
But it all flows downhill. So
we'll go next month. I need a break from you, I think. We're good. We got 20 minutes in for the week. We're all set, right?
Excellent.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you for humoring me and saying yay, because, you know, that's important to me. So, all right. He winked at me. You know they can't see you, right?
Oh, they can't?
He winked at me, but it was creepy and weird and they couldn't see it. So I make sure everybody knows.
Oh, man.
But with that, thank you for listening, and we will hope you tune back in soon. Bye.
Oh, bye.
There you go.
Bye.
You'll learn one day.